What up, though, ladies and gentlemen? It's your boy Easy, and we are back live on the Speakeasy Podcast from the Speakeasy Studios, aka my motherfucking basement. There's been some adjustments made. I did forget the cords to my usual microphone. However, I had this handy dandy Xbox situation going, and we are also joined by NFL Scout Scott Bischoff. How are you?
I'm great. How are you?
Good, man. Thanks for joining. Day 3. There's just some picks that made, and I was just like, I want to text Scott, but I know your phone's always blowing up around this time, so I didn't want to do that. And I was like, maybe I'll hit him up after things have calmed down a little bit.
Dude, just text me anytime. We're good. It's all good.
How was your phone on the draft night? Were you getting blown up?
Thursday, yeah. I mean, there was a lot going on, but nothing. I mean, there wasn't anything like crazy going on. It's just communication with some people I know, some agents in the industry, people connected with agencies, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Nothing where nothing. Nobody knows really exactly what's going on. I mean, some people do, but people like me don't. It's more like connecting the dots with. Okay, if Dallas moves back, it's pretty obvious that the two corners went in front of them. They want Parsons. They like Parsons, but they don't feel that there's value at 10. They don't think anybody's going to jump them for Parsons. So it's the kind of stuff where you're just kind of talking back and forth about, Parsons will be the pick. It's just how far are they willing to go, stuff like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ultimately, I guess, the overview of the draft for the Lions, where you at with that one? I guess put a grade on it if it makes it easier.
Okay, so the whole put a grade on it thing is entirely useless. And I mean, I don't mean to, to shit on the question yet.
No, they're good.
But it's more like it's always like, can you run a from move to move and pick to pick, can you run like the consciousness behind the decision? Can you run the understanding of it and connect them together along with the roster that they have to make it make sense with where they are as a team? And with this, in this particular draft, the answer is yes. I don't know that you could totally say that in the previous few years. Like there were moves that were made that were just, okay, so you took a tight end in the top 10, but you're saying that you're expecting elite production in year one and he needs to save your job, but you took a tight end in the top 10. And tight ends never pan out early. They just don't historically. Similarly, you took a center with pick 20 and you're going to move him to guard, like that kind of stuff. So those kind of things always kind of raise the antenna. Like that's confusing and it doesn't make sense. It's almost like the way I've described it in the past is there were times, even with Martin Mayhew at times, where it felt like it was like a fantasy draft where, hey, we need a linebacker. Let's take one. But most of these guys, and the reality is most of these guys are really not going to be super impactful in year one. Even I think Sewell will be, but even like Unzarike and Aleem McNeil and some of these guys, at the end of year one, we're going to look at it and think, well, they weren't all that productive. They weren't great players in year one, but you hope that you see flashes of what they can be. So I just talked for a minute and a half about nothing that you asked about. So let me answer the question.
You're good. It's all great. Great.
So I think that when you string together the Penei Sewell selection, whether we agree or disagree with it, with him being should have been the pick, you totally understand why they do it. He's 20 years old. He's going to play right tackle on the edge of the offensive line for a while. A couple years minimum, I would assume. But then it's long-term, he's going to play left tackle. So you've addressed a need right now. And if Lions fans don't think they needed somebody on the right side of that offensive line, I'd urge them to look. Halapuli Vadi Vaitai is, I mean, there's a huge question mark about what he is as a player. Tyrell Crosby, I don't know that there's questions so much about him as a player, but where does he fit? Is there room on the roster for him? Yes. But are they really good football players where they're impactful as offensive tackles or offensive linemen? And the answer is, they're probably replacement level players. And that sounds disrespectful to some of them, but it's just the reality of the NFL. You need elite players at certain spots, and Sewell is that. So it's, I think that was just a phenomenal pick. But then getting into the nuts and bolts of I don't know if you're a Red Wings fan, but when Steve Yzerman took over from Ken Holland, his first draft was almost like it was a total rejection of what Ken Holland had done on defense. Like I summarily reject what you are doing at the defense position, and therefore I'm taking one early because what you've done is just, we can't have that going forward. And that's what I think Brad Holmes and company did with the defensive line. So we've seen for a few years the Lions playing more of a two-gap system where you have defensive line play where they're controlling the line of scrimmage, but there's not a lot of pressure to be seen. There's not a lot of playmaking happening. There's not a lot of getting a quarterback off of his spot through pressure. Certainly not on the interior. It just hasn't happened. Mm-hmm. So Brad Holmes and company decided that, it was a weak class, but I'll tell you, Unzarike was, for me, he was defensive tackle 1 because Barmore had some off the field stuff that made him, I would imagine, probably not on some teams' boards. I think that's fair to put. Yeah, I mean, there's some stuff there, right? So, but with him, you see the 2 defensive tackles going. You think immediately, okay, you now have a rotation of defensive linemen, both interior guys and edge players, that looks really good. And you can see where on rundowns where they go real heavy, you have Aleem McNeil playing nose. You might have Penasini playing, a 3. You're going to have Michael Brockers on the field. You're going to have Frank Flowers on the field. These are huge, big guys. And that's your run look, right? So in passing situations, Penasini comes off the field and a player like Onwuzurike hops in as a 3 technique. And then you've got Flowers as a pass rusher. You've got Aquara. You've got lots of guys there and guys that are too deep at that position. So really versatility wise and situationally, they're good to go on the defensive line. And even a year ago, the defensive line looked like such a hole. And I'll tell you, Jared Davis is not on the Lions roster in some ways because the defensive line, the play of the defensive line was so poor, it accentuated his weaknesses, which was getting overly aggressive and getting out of his gap. Yeah. But some of it wasn't necessarily his fault at times. There were times where he's expecting defensive tackle to say let's say in the B gap on his right side. So he attacks the A gap, and now the defensive tackle gets pushed in the A gap, and they're both there. You know what I mean? So you need stout play from a defensive line. If you're a linebacker, it helps you key, on what you're seeing. It helps you find the ball. It helps you attack going forward. So, it's one of the things that I think they did that's so impressive was to address the interior of the defensive line with playmaking and guys who are going to, like Aleem McNeil is going to reset the pocket. He's going to push a center back. It doesn't mean that he's going to get to the quarterback, but he's going to push everything back so that the quarterback can't step up to make throws, right? And that changes the angles for the pass rushers. It gives the pass rushers a little easier of a time to get to the quarterback. So you have that. You have Onwuzurike who's going to beat guards. He just is. One of the things that's so interesting with him is that he played nose tackle at Washington, and he's 290 pounds. It's very much out of position for him. He needs to play further down the line from the ball, and he will in Detroit. So I would expect him to be. He's going to pressure the pocket. He's going to be impactful with his first step quickness, and he's got really violent hands.
That's the one thing I noticed right away off film is the hands, and I don't know if it's a combination of just hand strength or technique. We just sheds guys off and throw them off. I'm like nothing.
Yes. Now you give him a little more space. If you move him down the line a gap, like instead of being between the center and the guard, or even heads up over the center, now he's between the guard and the tackle, and you give him the ability to run inside, outside, to use his hand power, to use his arms, and kind of lock guys out and move. It looks good, So this is the stuff where you connect. The Penny Sewell gives the Lions the ability to have a really good offensive line. Both now, he upgrades their line now, but in the future. Defensive line now looks like it's the strength of their defense, and they have playmaking there now where it's very interesting. They have young players in the secondary, and I'm not saying that they're going to win a ton of games this year. I don't think they will, but people should be hopeful because if Okudah blooms, right, and Oruwariye plays to a level that you think he might, Melifonwu plays to a reasonable level, and you've got Tracy Walker back there. You got young pieces in the secondary. You've got a good defensive line, or in the pieces of what could be a good defensive line. So you can understand the logic of the moves they made up until the point when they, up until day 2. At the end of day 2, you thought, I didn't expect that they would go defensive tackle, but you flipped the script on this entire defensive line, and what once was a giant hole and a problem now looks like a strength. I mean, you've added Brockers, Aleem McNeil, and Onwuzurike in one offseason, and those are going to be impactful guys. They're going to play lots of snaps. I think we need to expect a rotation, and we haven't talked about Deshaun Hand or Jashawn Cornell, there's just so many. There's a Nick Williams is another guy we haven't talked about. There's a lot of pieces on the defensive line where you could say any situation, there's a way that the Lions can attack. And that's the point, is that they're going to play a more attacking style, which we should all be excited by. We're going to see blitzers. We're going to see pressure. We haven't seen pressure in years. It's been a long time since you felt like the Lions were going to bring pressure. So historically bad defense last year, huge strides to improve that in 1 year.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm glad. This is why I love talking to you too, because you bring, I guess, situations or things I haven't thought about. You're just more knowledgeable of the game than myself. So I'm taking that away. They are pass rushers. I didn't think of those guys as like run stoppers or anything like that. I did have a question on Aleem McNeil. Was he a little too early, you think, on that pick, or no? No,
I don't. In this class, he's a huge human being, but generally those guys who are real big like that are more stout guys who are just run defending types.
Yeah.
He's more than that. There's a little more to his game than just a run defender. Like I said, he's going to reset the pocket. He's going to push. He's going to squeeze things down from over the center. He's a big guy. He's going to move centers backwards. So there's more than just a pure run stopper there. If he was a pure run stopper, then it would have been early, but there's more to his game there. But this was a uniquely bad interior defender class. And I would tell you that while he wasn't like D tackle 1 or 2, because, Christian Barmore can get to the quarterback. He just can. And Onwuzurike can too. He's bigger than those guys, and he plays a bigger game, right? But he'll give you some of that. So I don't think that there's any reason to think that he was a reach where they took him. I think if anything, I was surprised that he was still there.
Wow.
Given how
classes.
Yeah, just given how weak the class was, the fact that he can give you a little bit of pass rush productivity and a little pressure, it speaks to what his game could grow into.
Yeah, it makes sense because he looks the part of a run blocker or a run stuffer, but when you put on the tape, there's a lot of sacks, a lot of pressure in the quarterback or the highlight tape, I should say, not like the tape of actual game film, but
yeah,
a lot more sacks than him stuffing the hole and stuff like that too. So
yeah, he's got active hands, and he's a good football player. But in this class, I would have thought he may have gone sooner.
Mm-hmm.
I think there's a reason that he should intrigue Lions fans just because of his ability to both play the run and reset the line of scrimmage. It's good stuff for him.
Is there any worry with Penei Sewell? Because I know you talked about drafting a center and making him a guard, but the fact that he played left tackle and now we're obviously his started career off at the right tackle position for us. Is there any concern there at all? Or
it's a great question, and it's not as easy a transition as it sounds like. It's like, if you played the left side, you can play the right side. Your body mechanics change. Everything changes. So, as an example, in pass protection, your first move that you make as a left tackle is off the inside of your right foot. So it gives you the ability to gain ground, both laterally to your side, to your left, but also vertically back. Does that make sense?
Yes.
So think about drawing like a 45 angle to your left behind you, and you've got to cover that ground. And the only way that you can do it is to push off of the inside of your right foot with enough force to get you moving in that direction. Well, his first movement now as a right tackle is the inside of his left foot.
Yeah.
So, your feet and your hands are tied together. So if you're your punch timing and all that stuff, everything changes. The different points of where you're moving your hands and what your outside hand looks like as opposed to your inside hand. all of it changes. But the nice thing about him is he's a 20-year-old kid who you can mold. And I mean, it's tougher than it sounds like it, just flipping sides, but I don't think there'll be issues with him doing it. He's so physical and he moves so well for as big as he is that I think he'll be okay.
Yeah. At the press conference, he looked smaller than I was imagining him, like shoulder-wise. Is he?
He's a monster, dude. He's 6'5" and 300. He played at over 350 pounds at Oregon as a 17, 18-year-old. I mean, he's just a huge – it's the planet theory. There's only so many guys as big as he is, as athletic as he is walking the planet. There's only a few, right? So, I mean, they're rare.
Yeah. And then I'm pretty sure I know your answer to this, but he obviously had him graded over Slater.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, just the upside. I mean, Slater's a really good football player, more technical than Sewell is at this point.
Mm-hmm.
A strong player, but one of the issues, Slater's an interesting story. There's a push to just call him if he fails at right tackle or left tackle, you could play him inside and he'll play for a long time. But his issues as a football player are all about what happens when he gets his face crossed and he sees it, and he has to deal with power. So, I mean, think about everybody talks about the game he had against Ohio State in 2019 where he locked up Chase Young, and he did. But Chase Young consistently wanted to beat him with speed, and Slater's foot quickness and his technical abilities made it so that it's hard to get around him. He moves really well. He's going to be a guy that we're going to look at in years, and he has a chance to be one of those guys who's going to mitigate the whole arm length conversation. Does it really matter? Well, if you move your feet as well as he does, and you place your hands as well as he does, and you're technical like he is, arm length isn't a huge concern. It's just not a big deal. But where he does struggle at times is against the bull rush, against power, especially when they want to come inside. So that player, what I just said about a player who struggles against somebody crossing his face, is not a player that I would want to say, let's play him at guard in the NFL, because getting his face crossed is going to be a pretty consistent thing. And the size and the power and how fast it happens at the NFL level is just different. It's very different than playing tackle. It's a very different thing. So I don't think he's going to struggle too much as a tackle, but he's a very good football player. He has a chance to be a really good tackle. With Sewell, Sewell's a lot bigger, and I think he has more upside.
Yeah.
They're both really good players. I think you drafted Sewell on the upside of what he can become. He's clearly not there yet. What he is right now is really, really good. Slater's 22 years old, and he's a senior. He's 2 years older than Sewell, and it's just, I'm not going to knock him. He's a really good player. The Chargers got it's a great pick for them to stay at 13 and get him.
Oh yeah.
Deal. That's a player I think that pre-draft we thought they may have to trade up for. If Cincinnati had gone Sewell, the Chargers might have had to come to 7 to get Slater. In this scenario, they stayed put at 13 and they got him.
Yeah.
Good for them, Slater's a good player. Sewell, I just think, is a more physical player. There's more upside as a player.
Yeah.
But I think there's more.
Only 20 years old, man. It's crazy.
I know. So that's the thing, like the Auburn game in 2019, which is the game that everybody should be looking at, because Auburn had Derek Brown, who went 7th overall to the Panthers last year. He didn't go up too much against Sewell, but Sewell saw Marlon Davidson, who was a 2nd rounder to Atlanta. And we're talking about, 22-year-old grown-ass dudes at Auburn and their strength, huge guys, very powerful players. And Nick Coe, same thing. He was 6'5" and like 300 pounds. So he saw those guys pretty consistent in that game. But again, he's 18 years old in this matchup. And it's not beautiful. It's not perfect. It's not flawless. But what it is he shows you how willing he is to get in the mud and get dirty with these guys. And did he get walked back a little bit? Yeah, these are strong guys. But he made it really tough to get through him. I mean, they didn't really get to the quarterback, right?
Yeah.
I want to say Marlon Davidson had one pressure in that game, and it came on where he looped inside, and it wasn't even Sewell's guy, and the play was supposed to be like a designed rollout to the left, and it didn't roll out, and there was a little pressure there that I think they gave to Sewell and they gave to Davison. But other than that, that's it. He locked him up. And again, it wasn't beautiful. It wasn't flawless. But what it was is it shows you just how willing he is to get dirty and to be physical and make it really tough. Like with Sewell,
17 or 18 at the time, too.
He was 18. And looking at it across, like I think if you ask Marlon Davidson or Nick Coe, hey, what was it like that day? They're going to tell you it was a fight. It was, it was a brawl. And again, he's 18 going up against these guys, and he's going to give you everything he's got. He's going to make it really tough on anybody to get through him. And he showed that in that game. And again, I'm not saying it was beautiful or flawless or any of that stuff, but what it was is for a person like me, it piques the interest. Like, wow, he's 18 in this matchup, and look at him. I mean, he's taking punches in there, but he's giving punches back, and he's hanging in there, and there's toughness there, and all that stuff. And then you watch him in the second. We haven't even talked about it. The stuff at the second level with him, it's just ridiculous.
Yeah, that's because I know a couple people in DeAndre Swift's camp. And as soon as we made the pick, I texted him. I'm like, "What's Dre thinking?" He said he's excited as hell.
He should be.
Yeah.
We talked to Joik Bell about that on Friday. Like, how would you feel if you're a Lions running back in the room right now, knowing they took Sewell?
Yeah.
And, his response is, I'd be in the gym working because, there's just so much excitement behind it. So, yeah, I mean, his ability to break down at the second level and get the spots, to get out to where the linebacker should be, and to understand that the linebacker is his guy who he needs to block, but the linebacker may have stepped a half a step inside too much. So I don't really have to deal with him. I'm going to now go get the safety. But the problem is that he stopped his feet to look for the linebacker. And now he's got to get going again to cover safety. And he can do that stuff. It's like he's twitchy for a 350-pound kid. And you can see him get out there, look, stop, and then just go against the safety and blow him up. That's rare stuff. It just is rare stuff, the things that he's able to do athletically along with his size. So I know that there's a desire to think of him as he's only 30. He's listed at 331 pounds. Mm-hmm. To think of him as only 31 pounds bigger than Slater, or 35 or whatever it was. But I tell you that's a huge, huge difference, right? Like, it's just a significant difference in the size and the mass of this person, mm-hmm. and the ability for him to move the way he does. It's just rare. It just is.
Man, you see me smiling the whole time you're talking.
Yeah, this is why it was such an exciting pick that they made. Yeah. Some people are going to knock it because it wasn't sexy and it wasn't, they didn't address the receiver position. And I get it. I mean, I like Jalen Waddle and Kyle Pitts and those guys to the point where, I love those guys. I think they're going to be great NFL players. But you can understand why the move to draft Sewell was made, because it addresses the trenches and where the Lions really need to, set the culture and the tone going forward. It makes sense. So it kind of goes back to your original question. All these moves kind of string together, like just toughness on the offensive line and playmaking ability, and just really good stuff. Toughness and playmaking ability and explosiveness on the defensive line. Really good athleticism for all these guys. They drafted great athletes everywhere. We haven't talked about Amon-Ra St. Brown. He's a really interesting receiver. He really is. I
wanted to ask you about that too, because there was two late picks. I don't know and I texted Sean. I was like, "Am I drinking Kool-Aid?" Like, I gotta talk to Scott before I go off the edge with this one, because I was super excited about him and Derek Barnes. What's your take on those guys? Amon-Ra and I guess Barnes after that.
And we can't forget Melifonwu too, because he's super intriguing too.
Yeah, is he gonna move to safety? Because he's 6'3" almost.
He's big. I don't know. I think he'll be given every opportunity to play cornerback before he does move to safety. Mm-hmm. If he does, I guess I don't know the answer to that question. He could, and they do need, historically, in that 4-2-5 defense that they're going to run, they have had an extra safety on the field. So it's possible he has the size to do it, but I think you'd want him to play as a corner first, as an outside corner first. But we'll see. He's really Melifonwu was a great athlete. He's a little raw at this time, but he has the potential to grow into something. He looked really good at the Senior Bowl, and this year in particular, it was important that he do that, because there's really not much opportunity after the season to show really any teams anything. But at the Senior Bowl, he looked really good. In one-on-ones, he didn't look like he got exploited all that much as from route runners and that kind of stuff. He looked good. I mean, he looked every bit the part of what he should look as a corner. Amon-Ra St. Brown, I think, is going to be a high volume player. Now, don't misunderstand that for a 100 catch guy as a rookie. I don't mean it like that.
Correct.
But I think he's going to be given every opportunity to play out of the slot to where he doesn't have to deal with press coverage or physicality. And he's a really good route runner who opens up quick, which is really what Goff needs. He's been compared to Robert Woods. I don't think he's got Robert Woods' athletic tools, but he's a really good route runner. Deploy him out of the slot. He's going to see a lot of volume come his way. He's going to help move the chains. I don't think he's one of those guys who's going to run away from anybody, but he's quick and fast enough, and he's good enough with the ball in the air that he should be productive. Will he be super productive as a rookie? Probably not. But there's a reason why, there's a reason to be intrigued by him as a player. Out of the slot, he should be a high volume player in the future. He's interesting. He's very interesting. Derek Barnes, the whole Barnes thing it's fascinating to me because I think you can draw a line starting at Micah Parsons and goes right through Derek Barnes as a player. And it tells me, I don't think I'm looking at this too close. I could be. I've done it before. But it tells me the Lions liked Parsons the way he played on the field.
Mm-hmm.
But some of the off-the-field stuff with him was probably unmanageable for them.
Yeah.
But as far as the strengths of what Barnes does as a player and the strengths of what Parsons does as a player, I think that you could look at Parsons' film and you could look at Barnes' film, and if you exchange numbers and helmets, it's somewhat similar. Now, it's not high end like what Parsons is. Parsons is bigger, taller, and more athletic. So
yes.
what he does is there's a little more there. But when you see Barnes go, like when he triggers to come forward against the run, he's there in a flash.
Yeah,
he's got a good sideline to sideline range. He can run. What he does is against as a blitzer is incredible. It's awesome to look at. Now, undersized, shorter, do we see a lot of volume for him as a blitzer? Maybe not as a rookie, but the ability is there. He's got incredibly heavy hands. He's very explosive. He can turn the corner. I mean, you can watch him as a pass rusher, and it's fun to watch. It really is. And I think that's the allure with Parsons is that while Parsons is great against the run, where his true value is it's not going to come in coverage, and Barnes isn't going to play all that well in coverage either. It's more, can he develop into a player that you can blitz, run through gaps, or turn the corner, and Barnes can do those things. And, it's not a player who needs to see the field right now. He's going to play special teams. He's going to do all those things first. The Lions are going to play two linebackers for the most part. So you have Jamie Collins and Anzalone right now. So, he's down the depth chart a little bit, but he's an intriguing guy who I think, he has some tools that we should be excited over. It's just he has to develop as a player. But again, he does similar things to what Parsons does. You got him in round 5. Parsons is very souped up from Barnes. So I don't want people to come away with this thinking, oh, they got Micah Parsons. No, they didn't get Micah Parsons in round 5. They got a player who offers some of the skills that Parsons brings, just at a
smaller package.
Yeah, smaller with less athleticism, but he offers some very intriguing things. He does.
Yeah. Okay, cool. Because I was watching the tape and I'm like, dude, I like this guy way too much for a 5th rounder. Like, am I tripping right now? Like, he went to Purdue. It's not a small school. Like, I liked a lot of the stuff that I seen, especially in the run game too. Like, just getting to the ball. He seemed like a ball hawk.
Yeah, he's one of those guys that as soon as he sees it, he goes, right?
Yeah.
But this is where the defensive line conversation comes in, because you can see you looking at Barnes, you see him trigger, and I promise you he's going to run out of position at times, being aggressive coming forward. And he would have if he doesn't have good defensive line play in front of him, he will get himself out of position. But because I think they've improved their defensive line play a lot, it gives a player like Barnes a lot to see, and it gives him a chance. I think it changes. Good defensive line play changes the way linebackers play, and pressure changes the way corners play. So they're interrelated. So if you get more pressure, all of a sudden your secondary members look like they're better players, right? So if you're great in coverage, your defensive line looks like it's a little more productive because they have a little more time to get home. So those things kind of work in concert with one another. So you can see, so that these are the decisions where it makes sense what they did. They've improved their defensive line, and they have a young, up and coming, developing secondary. And if it develops and it hits, it looks good.
Hell yeah, man! I'm pumped. In Fontu, I wanted to ask because I've fallen in love with the bigger corners, and obviously we're talking about him maybe moving to safety and stuff like that. Is that more? Is he going to be more like dependent on the system working for him, or like what's the difference between him and like T's Tabor? Because Tabor is a bigger guy too.
Yeah, so Tabor needed that. We could go for a long time. Tabor needed to play zone. Period. He's like a little bit like Marcus Peters with the Rams at one point. I think he's with Baltimore now. Marcus Peters is not a player you should ask to press somebody at the line of scrimmage and flip his hips and turn and run with the defender with his back to the quarterback, right? Because the strength of what Tease did and what Marcus Peters did was use their instincts to find the ball, to come forward on the ball, to read the eyes of the quarterback, to diagnose what's happening in front of them, and then to get to where the ball's going. But all that stuff gets washed away if you turn your back and you have to run with the receiver, like in a receiver's hip pocket, and you don't know what the quarterback's doing. All that stuff gets washed away. And then the problem is that some of the lacking athleticism shows up. All right, well, now he can't stay in phase in coverage, and he's now behind in coverage. And he doesn't have great instincts when he can't see the ball. He can't see the quarterback. So the thing with Tease was that I think he was drafted in a situation where he needed to play more zone than anything, and they really didn't do that for him. So with Melifonwu, I'm not sure I see it. He can play in zone, he can play man, he can do all those things. With a long corner, you'd want him to be at the line of scrimmage with his hands on receivers and rerouting and all those things. But I'm not sure they're going to ask him to do that kind of stuff. And I don't think he's great at that kind of stuff anyway. So if you're playing a little bit of cover 3 type stuff, or you're playing some zone where he can use his explosive abilities, his short area quickness to get to a certain spot on the field, I think it looks good from that perspective, right? So this is where like a guy like Aaron Glenn should understand that there are certain things, there's a finite amount of skills that a player brings to the table. Don't ask him to do the things that he's really not good at doing. Does that make sense?
Yeah. It's kind of guard to center guy situation.
Yeah, I mean, if he's really good in zone, or if he needs to play cover 3 types of situations, and he needs to see things, evolve in front of him, let him do those kind of things.
Yeah.
So, I mean, he's a super interesting athlete. I don't think he's where he will finish as a player. So there's a little bit of room for him to grow, but he has time. So I don't think he needs to see the field immediately. If the plan is for them to move him to safety, I will tell you that I would trust Brad Holmes and those guys, because if you look at what they did in the secondary with the Rams, and where they find these guys and what they're able to do with them, I think we should trust Brad Holmes and company when it comes to that particular position. If they drafted Melifonwu with the idea that they're going to move him to safety, cool. I don't know that's what they've done. I think they value the athleticism, and sometimes, so with the scouting stuff, just look at the vertical with him. Just look at the broad jump. It measures how explosive a guy is lower body wise. I know he ran 4.48, so it's not like he ran super fast in the 40, but the other stuff, the other agility stuff, he's
there.
Yeah. I mean, he's not there like his brother was, like Obi was. And for the record, I loved him, but he's a better football player than Obi was. Right now, he's a better player.
Yeah.
So there's intrigue there. A developmental player, though, for sure. Not a guy I think makes the
starting lineup.
Yeah, I don't think so. If he does, either you have injuries that have popped up that are problematic, or even worse, potentially that a player like Okuda or Uwarie isn't working, kind of thing. But it's tough to foresee that. So, but it's still a developmental player, a valuable guy going forward who has to grow as a player, like all of these guys do. We could talk about we could talk about Onwuzurike and McNeil.
But they're not where they're going to finish.
It's just what's the decision making behind them, and you love the decision making behind them. They obviously have to step on the field and play to a certain level to make it worthy of their selection. We're way early in the process. So, I mean, as far as you asked about a grade thing, I think it's really smart what they've done. That's the best I could say. It's super smart what they've done.
Yeah. Yeah. And when I see Infatu too, the body type wise, especially speaking of safety, I think of John Johnson a little bit there too.
Yeah.
But I appreciate your time, man. I know you only want to go a half hour. Can I ask you one last question real quick though?
Absolutely. Yeah.
So a lot of the guys in my camp were from the DSA, other like YouTubers and whatnot. They like these tweener guys. They like the guy who's in Arizona now, Jabril Cox, JOK.
Yeah.
I don't think these guys necessarily translate to the NFL unless they join like great defenses. Why do those guys slide? Does that type of play I guess
it's okay. Great question. Some of that is positionless football. Mm-hmm. So with the Owusu-Koramoah from Notre Dame, I don't know where he's going to play in the NFL. I really don't. I mean, I know what I think of him as a player. I think he's smaller than his listed size. I don't think he plays at 215 pounds. But you are not playing him as a traditional linebacker. You're just not. He is not going to take on blockers. He should not be in the box, absorbing contact and all that stuff. He needs to run and chase. So then a little bit of, can he play as a slot, corner defender type? Yeah, he can do those things, but I don't think it helped him being at Notre Dame. I don't think he has super great coverage ability, and I don't think his instincts are like phenomenal top end instincts. So when you look at a play, like with him in particular, you look at him in coverage, and there's a little bit like, and then it's, I don't know what we're going to do with him at the NFL level. Where does he play? Is he a safety? If he's a safety, you have more traditional type, like Richie Grant from UCF, really good player. If you're telling me you want him playing safety or JOK playing safety, I'm taking Grant. So that's the problem with it, is it's almost like he's a Swiss Army knife, but there's no it's a little bit of the Isaiah Simmons conundrum from last year. Like,
that's the name I was looking for. Yeah.
Yeah, it's the same thing. Like, where are you going to play him? And I think that he's so athletic, you could play him in a lot of places, but you got to create a role. You have to create a role. Yeah. And I don't know with Owusu-Koramoah what that role is going to be. I will tell you with Cox, I thought would be a round 3 or a round 4 guy. Now, maybe there's some injury stuff with him that who knows? I don't know. But he is a pass coverage linebacker. That's it. There's value in having that. But he's not a player that when you watch at LSU, he's not a guy who's going to take on blockers and find the ball as a run defender either, at a level to where you think he could do it at the NFL level. But what he does do is play in coverage really, really well. So that's kind of the issue, is that, with linebackers getting somewhat erased from the field and teams going more heavy in their nickel and dime packages, how much use is there for a 3-down linebacker? And if he's a coverage player only, realistically, you're not taking that guy really early, right? So he would have been a player I would have loved for the Lions to have taken, just because of his coverage skills on 3rd down. But he's not a 3-down linebacker per se, and that's some of the issue with the tweener types.
Yeah. Yeah, because it's always an argument that like they always bitch about Isaiah Simmons like not being put in the right position, and they wanted the Lions draft some of those guys in the 2nd round, and I can't think of too many names in the NFL where that type of guy has been successful or like major without other elite players around him, where he can kind of roam and do whatever.
It's tough to find guys who are undersized who have been, like Hassan Reddick played in Arizona, and he's a really good pass rusher, right? But he was small. So I don't know what, you don't know what you do with him. Yeah. Isaiah Simmons, same thing. Now, he had a good year, and I think that if you're carving out a specific role for him, that's fine. He makes sense because of his size, right? But with Owusu-Koramoah, when I think about maybe a 5'9", 205 pound guy, maybe, he's more built like a corner, and I don't know that you should. I don't see it so much with him. I understand it because he was flashy. And there's moments at Notre Dame where he laid the wood on guys in the open field, where it looks dynamic. But there are other moments where he doesn't look as consistent instinctually, where you can see him find the ball in coverage. And again, to me, he's an undersized safety. That's kind of weeding through all the narrative with him and all the other stuff. Could I be wrong? Yeah, we'll see.
Hell yeah. Scott, again, I really appreciate you, man. If you won't mind, you want to drop your Twitter so people come follow you and
it's at Bischoff_Scott.
Oh, it's easy enough.
Yeah, I think maybe. Yeah.
Well, I'm gonna edit this up. I'll put it up under Woodward Sports as well. But thank you again for joining us, man.
Anytime. Thanks for having me.
I'll see you, Scott.
Yeah, see you.
Scott is the man. I love having him. To run to with questions and whatnot, because I mean I don't know everything about football. I have, for me, what I think. Where I'm at with my football knowledge is a lot more based off like philosophy or like just shit that I've seen work in the past, and the fine details I always go to Scott with. I mean, there's some stuff obviously I can see, the guys who can fill the gap, guys who play certain roles and whatnot like that. But Scott literally fucking, I mean, like we just heard him. I'm sorry for swearing, guys, but you see him talk about Afontu's like vertical jump and broad jump and stuff like that. He's got all that stuff like on cue in the back of his head, just ready to spin off, man. And I appreciate having him, man. If you guys haven't already, make sure you subscribe to Woodward Sports. I'm going to put this up alongside a film of the players we discussed. Scott only had a half hour today. I asked him this the last minute. But I really did want to go over the rest of the draft. If you guys want my opinion on this shit, I mean, I went the grade route, right? Because he has a point, right? We can't necessarily put a grade on something that you don't know what the overall plan and what it is. But let me go to some of these good looks, Travis Scott. Let me read some of these comments. I apologize, guys. Penei Sewell. For me, I got him A. That's an A. I want to say plus, but like this doesn't feel realistic. Are there any concerns with him? In my opinion, no, not at all. He's going to be a starter. He's going to be a guy that that my man DeAndre Swift is in love with. I already know that he's in love with. I got the text messages this weekend. DeAndre Swift is going to be, this guy's going to explode off of having Penei Sewell on the line alongside Taylor Decker and whoever else we piece together throughout the season, man. I'm really pumped up Penei Sewell. That's an absolute A 6'5", 330 pounds. It's a whole lot of man. He's only 20 years old, man. So, like, yeah, there's a concern. I mean, as we discussed with Scott, him making the move from left tackle to right tackle. But, again, he's only 20 years old. So, we'll be able to mold him into whatever we want. He's young enough to where we can do that. Maybe there may be concern with him switching back to left tackle at some point. But he just seems like so much of an athlete that it may not be an issue. It may just take him just a couple, I guess – not even, man. I think Penei Sewell is going to be a stud. He's going to be a stud. You dress like an NFL coach right now, especially when you hold the notepad. Hey, so I'm going to be on sideline like I had a notepad but when I have guys on like Scott or especially GQ, I got to start bringing a notepad with GQ too, because like they just dropped some gems, bro. I got to write them down, some stuff to look for. Like I'm about to get off and I'm about to look at the Alabama and Oregon game from 2019. Just look at 18-year-old Penei Sewell against these NFL caliber players. Not that I have to. I'm sold on Penei Sewell. I don't think there's anything to be worried about. Levi, shout out to Scott with the name enunciations too, bro. He murdered that shit. I don't think he fucked up one name. I'm nervous to say Levi Onwuzurike. I feel like that's right. Levi Onwuzurike. Personally, I got him as a B. 6'3", 290 pounds, 23 years old. A stout guy. And yeah, when you put on the film for these guys, again, I find myself watching more highlights than actual tape. I'll admit that when it comes to these later round picks. But a lot more sacks, a lot more pass rushing than you see him filling gaps and stopping runs and stuff like that. And he is a pass rusher. He looks long, athletic. I think he sits a little too high at times. I think that'd be an issue when it comes to like more athletic offensive tackles in the NFL and maybe even guards. But I think we'll see him on the outside a little bit too. Much like Scott said, we'll see him move down the line a little bit because he's built more to rush the quarterback. I was surprised to hear. And I shouldn't have been surprised because you put on the film that you see this right away for Aleem McNeil, our other third-round pick. I'm sorry. Our third-round pick. He looks like a run stopper. Like you look at his body type, he's stout, he's shorter. I think he's only like 6'2", 317 pounds. Extremely athletic, though. I've seen all the comments and stuff about him playing baseball in college and stuff like that. But the reality is he's going to play, inside. He's going to be inside technique. He looks like a run stopper, but when you put on the tape, there's a lot more pass rushing is what pops off. And with him, man, I don't really see it from short guys like that. I guess Aaron Donald's not the biggest. We'll see. We'll see. I really wanted to ask why this dude fell off so late because, well, he's little. He's little. Bigger school than Levi though too. Aleem, I'm not sure. I gave it a B- just because I don't like us drafting another defensive tackle, especially that we have Michael Brockers. Maybe they move Brockers down the line a little bit too. I seen someone comment that as well. That's a question I wanted to get to Scott, but we'll definitely have Scott on again 1,000%. What up though? Ben Diesel says you two need to do a weekly show. 1,000%, man. Scott, you can catch him. He's pretty frequently on Woodward Sports, all day too. Every once in a while, and he obviously writes articles and doing mock drafts for us too. But he's a great guy to go to, and he's scouted for tons of teams. He still does for like NFL Pro Scouts when they're asking him, "Hey, where's this guy going to fall?" If they're representing the guy, like if they should attend draft night or not. There's still GMs who call him just to get last minute advice and whatnot. So he's more like a loose end scout, and he's like, to give you some background on him. Yes, there's guys on YouTube who watch the film, correct, right? And those guys get total credit. Scott goes to BYU, to watch these guys, in person. He travels across the country to see these guys play and to get his input, So he's top notch, man. He's a real deal. Amon-Ra, dog. I've been trying to temper my excitement. There's two guys out of this draft. Obviously, Penei Sewell's a hit. Amon-Ra, I gave Fatu a C plus. I didn't mean to skip over him, but I'm nervous about him. It's only because I've been, like I said before earlier, speaking of Scott, I've been so hyped about some of these long-bodied corners, and they haven't panned out for us. Like Tease Tabor wasn't that. Darius Slay, bigger body guy, but extremely athletic in comparison to. He's pretty fast, but in comparison to Fatu and whatnot too. I think we made a tremendous point that he may move to safety. When I look at him. His body type, 6'3", I think he's like 200-something pounds, almost barely over 200 pounds. I think of John Johnson, who's a tremendous safety for the Los Angeles Rams, which a lot of our personnel is coming over from. So I think that may be the game plan with them. But like Scott said, they may give him the opportunity to play corner. We shall see. But Amon-Ra, again, is a guy that are you worried about the Bears taking Fields? You hear Holmes wanted Lance. Hell yeah, he wanted Lance, man. Lance is Dominique. I seen you comment something about Lance too. I'll find yours as well. I apologize, man. Do you like San Francisco taking trigger? Yeah, man. I mean, I don't like it because obviously I wanted him here, but he's with the offensive guru, Trey Lance is, and I think they're in a situation with obviously Jimmy Garoppolo where, much like here, this is the thing too. Everyone's give Jared Goff a chance. Jared Goff did this. Jared Goff did that. Jimmy Garoppolo, similar situation. Maybe not the longevity that Jared Goff has in doing it, but we see him in those situations. And obviously, a competent organization says, "Hey, let's get somebody who can do more than this." You know what I'm saying? So that's what Lance is for them, and he's going to get groomed. I think you look at the genius that is Kyle Shanahan at the offensive mind that he is, being able to groom an athletic specimen like Trey Lance. I think he truly has the potential to be something special. Now, is it something I'm going to set my stone in or set my name in and edge in stone and say, hey, this guy's going to be great? No, because it's a potential, but it's there because we've seen Kyle Shanahan take these guys who I don't necessarily think were great, guys like Jimmy Garoppolo, Matt Ryan. You say what you want about Matt Ryan. I don't think Matt Ryan's that sweet. I don't think he is at all. But he won MVP under Kyle Shanahan, went to the Super Bowl under Kyle Shanahan. Jimmy Garoppolo, not the greatest, went to the Super Bowl under Kyle Shanahan. You know what I'm saying? So, I mean, we've seen some of those throws in that Super Bowl. It's ugly. It's really ugly. But he's just a genius, man. So give him an athletic specimen like Trey Lance, maybe a little bit designed runs, and maybe not even designed runs. Just the opportunities and situations where his athleticism gives him some extra time in the pocket, and he has a strong arm. Maybe find one of those speedy receivers down the field. They're good, man. Am I worried about the Bears taking Fields? Yes, I am, and not in the fact that I seen some of these people in Lions group said they wanted us to take Justin Fields. Nah. I didn't want us to take Justin Fields. Maybe if we had a later pick and we traded back a situation like that, sure, but not that early, not at 7. Yeah, I am nervous just because mobile quarterbacks they create opportunity. Right, you don't always necessarily need a perfect passer. Yeah, Tom Brady. I don't want to call him perfect passer. We'll exit that name out of this conversation right away. But guys who can scramble create opportunity to win games. You don't always need the perfect passer. Sometimes you need a guy who's going to scramble up the defense enough where they're so worried about protecting you, stopping you from running, that's opening receivers, or they got the receivers unlocked, or everything's set. You can't make a throw, but your athleticism allows you extra first down or a third down conversion, or like just to put you in field goal position. So Fields does make me nervous, and it makes me nervous because one, you saw what the Carolina Panthers did to us with that mobile quarterback from the XFL last year. Two, we haven't really had Aaron Rodgers. I don't really. He is mobile, but not the mobile the way that Fields is. Fields ran a 4.4, so he's pretty fucking fast. We haven't had that guy in the NFC North, so I don't know how. We'll see, man. We'll see. He think about it this way too. Chicago made the playoffs already with Mitch Trubisky, who is no one really thinks is great. I don't think anyone thinks is great. I'll go off and say that. Imagine what they'll be able to do with an athlete like Justin Fields back there. Like the little bit of extra that they needed on offense, they got it now. So we'll see. The Bears gave up a lot to get him. So if he does bust, it's definitely in our favor. But as much as we like to make fun of the Bears, man, they've been making the playoffs. I know that we get close to beating them last year. We beat them the second time. First time was really close. DeAndre Swift catch away from beating them. But as much as we make fun of them, man, I guess you have to say they know what they're doing. They've been more successful than us, so it is what it is, man. Hopefully, we see a couple of those guys deteriorate on that defensive side. It is a little concerning they are paying Brockers 8.5. Then back-to-back defensive tackles on day 2 seems excessive for devalued position, but D-line is complete now. So that's a great point, man. I'm not familiar with the contract specifics of Brockers. I was kind of annoyed that we gave him more money after we got him, but I think back to Jim Schwartz. And I know we didn't, go to any Super Bowl with him, but I didn't think he was a bad coach. He wasn't terrible, I should say. But one of the things I remember, I guess, about him is the rotating defensive line constantly, consistently. We have that. Now, do I agree with the way we went about it? Draft them back to back, and then again, like you said, getting Brockers over here. I don't know. I can't speak to it, but I will say there's a plan in place. It seems that they're attacking it. I think that they're also being patient, so we have to keep in mind with ourselves to be a little bit patient too, because we didn't see them obviously jump and reach for any type of receiver, which I think my personal opinion shows confidence from this front office too, because you don't need these first round receivers, guys. I'm sure you've seen it on Luke's channel. When you looked it up, I could pull up a graphic right now, but these guys taken first off the board at the receiver position don't really pan out to, like, one, anything special. Sometimes they do, yeah, but two, doesn't equate to wins. If you got past 49ers, we would have got him. Trey Lance, yeah, I don't think there was any quarterbacks in between there. I think some teams probably would have moved up for him. I think that's definitely a possibility. Back to the draft, or should I get to these questions? Let's see. I'll get to some questions right quick. I'll get some questions. Not questions, but read comments. If you got past 49ers, we would have got them. Every team needs at least 3 good outside corners. Yeah, if not like good outside corners, is guys who are competent and you have decent pass rush, that'll work too. If Trigger Fields balls out, we'll be pissed. I can't be pissed about Trigger just because I don't think we had the opportunity to get him. If Fields balls out, yeah, you could definitely be pissed because we had an opportunity to get him, and obviously he's in our division. But Fields is gonna be good, bro. I'll keep it real with you guys. I think Fields is actually gonna be a good pro. I don't think he'd be great, but he'll be good enough to fuck us up and frustrate the Lions. San Francisco is going to be us taking a QB in 2 years with the rest of the roster built. They got a quarterback. Fields might bust. I think Fields is like what he is. I don't think he's going to get any better or worse than what he is now. St. Brown, Sage, Jonathan Adams all got me a little geek. Yeah, I got to check out these undrafted free agents at the receiver position. I definitely got to check these guys out. Before we hopped on, Scott was telling me about them. He's like, these are real big boomer bust candidates that they can go all the way. He's like, this is really early. But we only had a half hour, so we wanted to talk the draft because everything was kind of labeled as the draft. But I'll definitely get Scott and I will talk about those undrafted free agents. But yeah, Amon-Ra St. Brown. This is a stretch, but it's the only comparison that comes to mind for me. And let me look up some other stuff before I sound stupid. I'm going to sound crazy saying this. And I'm not saying the production will be there at all, but the feeling I get from him, from Amon-Ra St. Brown, Terrell Owens, definitely way smaller than him, slower than him, but the mentality and just the the grind. I guess is what I get from it. Like, I think dude really is gonna bust some ass. Like, just be a workhorse. I think again what Scott was saying out of the slot. Yeah, he's gonna be more possession guy. I apologize. A sure-handed guy to convert third downs and whatnot. Robert Woods, I'm not as familiar with this game. Obviously, I know his numbers based off of like fantasy and shit like that, but I got a burp. That's what comes to mind for me. Now, as to why he fell, I wish it's something I probably would have discussed with Scott a little bit more. I think I know why. I think you look at his size as a thing, and I think you look at the speed. 4.5. That's not too quick in a game where quickness is kind of selling and stealing the show nowadays in the NFL. Guys like Tyreek Hill, and but I mean, sometimes I don't think he's selected to be an outside guy. I don't think he was selected to be anything more than what he's going to be. I think he's going to be a great possession slot receiver. He's going to see the field this year for sure, especially when we look at how weak we are at the receiver position, as how productive he's going to be. That's yet to be seen too. But I like what I've seen out of him. I think he's sure-handed. Derek Barnes, the other guy I had to temper myself on. I'm glad I spoke to Scott because it sounds like I'm allowed to be excited about this guy. He said he drew a line. I don't know if you guys missed it. I don't know if you were here earlier, but he draws a line of comparison between him and Micah Parsons, where he's kind of Derek Barnes is just like a smaller package, less athletic version of that. For me, when I watch the film, I'm not Scott Bischoff, NFL scout, but I think he's more instinctually better than Parsons. I think he's more of a sure-handed tackler. I think he puts more thud on them hits too. Would I get kicked off YouTube if I play this shit? Let's see. If I do, this will be edited and put out on Woodward Sports. So maybe let's do that. Let's look at some Derek Barnes highlights. I'm down. When I saw this dude, so Scott said we may not see him see the field this year. Which whatever. It is what it is. I think we might, bro. We're pretty fucking weak at linebacker. Let me know what you guys think. I'm putting on Derek Barnes highlights right now. I mean, he's gonna be a rookie for sure, but we're pretty thin at the linebacker position. If he proves himself durable enough, I think we can see him on the field this year. Let me mute this. Well, there he goes to special teams right now. Do you guys want this audio? Fuck it. We'll do it without audio. But yeah, instinctually, like he's just there to the ball. That like when I watch Micah Parsons, there's a lot of rushes, a lot of him just using his athleticism, which obviously you fucking want to do. With this guy, I just feel like attack, and he gets there. Yeah, he's on the side. Saw the comparisons to Tulloch in the comments. I did get a chance to ask him about that, but I think even maybe a little bit more athletic than Stephen Tulloch. He's just a fucking magnet to the ball, man. When I see him on tape, and it's more than just a pass rush. I know Scott was bringing up, again with him, his pass rushing instincts and abilities and whatnot, but like that, I think he's even good. Just like I said, just cleaning up on the running backs. If our defensive line, these guys that we drafted, Michael Brockers, Flowers, and Aquara as well, they're doing their job. This guy's going to clean up in the run game. I don't necessarily see him as a pass rusher. I see him more as, like I said, cleaning. As long as these holes are being filled, I see this guy cleaning up. I'll read some of your comments too. I apologize. Fields will not bust. He will if he's in the room with Kendra Luss. Okay. If could have drafted Sewell and Fields, would have traded Stafford to Carolina. Yeah, I don't know, man. Fields is like what he is going to be, which is good. Like I think he's a good NFL quarterback. I mean, maybe you're right, Steve-O. But if I have Fields, I don't want a situation where I'm sitting him. I feel like I could plug him in right now. Personally. Yeah, I know there's stuff about like the one reads, but like personally, I feel like he's a guy I wouldn't want to waste. People bitch about when I was talking about drafting Trey Lance. Like, why would you want to sit him for 2 years? Rah, 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 rah. Well, he needs to sit for 2 years. Fields is a guy I don't think is in that situation. I think Fields could play right away. I think he could beat out Andy Dalton in camp and start right away. Dolo, Fields has some issues that will hurt him in Chicago, mainly the fact that he's a long striding thrower and he won't have room. I think Fields is a bust in Chicago. We shall see, man. We shall see. Okudah has to step up this year. Okudah definitely will step up this year. I think Okudah, shit, man. I think you guys are. I think people are a lot harsher on Okudah than like. I don't know why. It's like we forgot about COVID. Like cornerback is one of the hardest positions to play in the NFL, hands down. You got to think about these guys you're lying across. Think about how much of a specimen. This may not be a good example because he's that big of a specimen, but what Calvin Johnson was, or Julio Jones. Let's go beyond them. I mean, these guys run 4.3s. You have to fucking stop these guys. One, you have to predict where they're going to run, stay in stride along with them. Granted, how fast they are, the speed, the ability to catch, the length, the physicality at the line with some of these dudes too. Like cornerback is the hardest position to play in football, maybe outside of quarterback. Maybe put quarterback there, but I think cornerback skill-wise is even harder than that because you can just be cerebral and be productive at the quarterback position. The cornerback position, you got to be gifted athletically, extremely gifted athletically. So you couple that coming in the NFL with that. If you guys were here when I had Slay on, he talked about the difference in the ball even. So in college, there's a white stripe around the football that makes it a little bit more visible to see when it's up in the air. In the NFL, there isn't that. Makes it a lot more difficult. I guess it's not a lot more difficult, but makes it more difficult in that transition from college to the pros. We had Darius Leon when we spoke about that. If you guys haven't seen that already, I actually cut a clip from him speaking about Okudah specifically. I think the physicality of Okudah we saw last year, he's a sure tackler, especially at the corner position. I think the athleticism is there. And again, he has a year under his belt. He's going to start this season healthy. He's not pressured into starting right away, which he is going to start right away. Hopefully these defensive linemen are getting enough pressure for him to do what he's good at. I'm high on Okudah. I think people were a lot. I get Slay was a second round pick. You guys, I think the number 3 overall pick is associated with his skill set. Should he have been taken at 3? No. But is he a first round corner? Is he starting cornerback in the NFL? Yes. Okudah will be straight. I promise you. Now that I'll edge my name next to in stone. I think Okudah will be a starting cornerback, not a safety. I know my man Luke thinks he's gonna move to safety. He will be a cornerback in the NFL. And he'll be good. The only thing is his physicality maybe doesn't benefit him here in Detroit because we don't get calls go our way. We added Brockers, but Cook and Jones get 200 yards against us twice a year. So adding 2 more defensive tackles makes a lot of sense to me. I like Aquara and other guys who were part of the worst defense in history. No, that's big facts, but they played on the outside. And like Scott was saying, I mean, we don't have to. We had to hear from Scott. We couldn't get a pass rush. Looking at these guys' tape, the first thing you see, even more than like stopping the run, these guys get to the quarterback. They're frustrated quarterbacks at the defensive tackle position. That's a skill set. Yeah, as a weak class, we cleaned up on 2 of those guys. I know I told you I see issues with Fields. I don't know if you're talking to me. I apologize. Funkin' foe fighting again. Well, we got pass rushing defensive tackle, so Fields is going to be under pressure for sure. But Fields is mobile, so that's who will fuck up Fields? My man Derek Barnes. That's who will fuck up Fields. Jamar Jackson didn't have good testing, but his tape is nice. He's running away from people all day. He's worth a 7-round flyer. Oh, for sure. When I look at Jamar Jackson, I think of C.J. Spiller. That's the type of role I see. I don't see him making an impact. The only thing that kind of confused me is like I don't see him seeing the field at all, really. Because you got the running backs that we have. Like I think Jamal Williams can do everything he does and more. Probably obviously more proven at the position as well. By the way, we have Jamal Williams on the show soon too. But maybe I thought when I was like, well, maybe he returns. Well, no, only 3 returns in college. So we'll see. Definitely wasn't a bad pick, but like we got those guys filled out already. Carry on, better ball out this year, or he's getting the boot. I think he's gonna get the boot anyway, just because his experience here in Detroit. Unless we pay up, but I don't think we're gonna pay up. Well, Barnes doesn't have any screws loose exactly. Could have step up 1,000%. You guys need to draft a quarterback, not a left tackle. Well, here's the thing. Obviously, if you guys have been here before, you know how I feel about the quarterbacks, like having rookie quarterbacks. So, like, I can't argue that I didn't want a quarterback, but I can't be mad at shoring up the offensive line for when we do get a quarterback. Kind of surprised we didn't grab one late. I'm not surprised. It's just Bob Money, I would feel you on that if Penei Sewell didn't have the upside he has. I would feel you on that a lot more. But I believe in Penei Sewell big time. That's my game tape is always more important than combines and pro days, in my opinion. I agree. Damn, about time a Detroit YouTuber on. What up, though, Don B? Oh man, I lost some of these comments. Let's get here. It's way too late. I thought Justin Fields would be good for you guys. I wouldn't have minded him, but I was really on the trick or trade train. Was me. You are remedial. I think he's going at foe. Barnes is an athlete. He ran a 4.5 40. That's fast for 240-pound linebacker. Yeah, man. I think I'm really high on Barnes. That's the reason why I hit up Scott, because I wanted it to be tempered with my expectations for Barnes and Amon-Ra specifically, but no, he kind of stirred my Kool-Aid pot, so I'm high on them. Maybe we won't see it this year, but I'm pumped. It never hurts for a rookie QB to sit for a while. Yeah, absolutely not, man. I don't think so at all. Yes, absolutely hard work and dedication. They need to stop sleeping on Okudah. It's the disrespect on this man needs to stop. You're associating where he was drafted based on in his skill set is just like to stop doing that. He's on the team. We got to let go of that at this point. We have to judge him as a player and not as a draft pick. Yeah, and if we trade to Carolina, we won't have 2 future firsts. The trade they took was the right one. Absolutely. We took the best trade. Absolutely took the best trade. Bro, Okudah was lost before the whistle blew. He'll look to ass this year. He'll be a beast. He'll be good this year. He'll be good. Okudah will be better with a better pass rush. Big difference from trailing a guy 20 seconds to 8 seconds. Bro, think about the no offseason as well. The hardest position to play. No offseason. Thrown in right away as the number 1 corner, guarding the best guy. Like this, the corners in this league, I think lockdown corners is a lost art. You can't touch these receivers no more. I think you even saw Stephon Gilmore getting worked by DK Metcalf. Like the best corner to me is probably Jalen Ramsey or Gilmore. But even those guys get burnt every once in a while. It's going to happen, and especially when on defense as bad as the Detroit Lions. Like coupled with the fact that he's a rookie. Like, yeah, chill, my man. It's the right deal. Fields thing is a little overblown, and we have to get to. Yeah, the defensive tackle thing made me scratch my head, but now that I'm looking at it and watching the tape, like, yeah, they were getting to the quarterback, frustrating quarterbacks, and that's gonna flew out for everything else. I remember Dak Prescott said he could go through all 3 of his progressions when he played with us. SMH ridiculous. Yeah. Don Bird switched to a 1-gap penetration scheme is going to be so much better to watch after the last 3 seasons. Yeah, I'm just hoping we clean up on the run, though, too. It's cool to see this FO value pass rush more than the previous regime. Yeah, and it's a different scheme, too. Because I feel like we were more in the previous regime, we were more dependent on the outside edge rush, where this one, it seems like they want that shit coming from everywhere. They want attack. And we saw that in the draft. I think that initially? No. Especially when you look at a guy like Aleem. He looks like a run stopper. But when you put on the tape, he's more of a pass rusher. We'll see. And I think a lot of these guys, too, because we have Brockers. I don't know. My man, I can't say his last name, but Levi, I'm hearing, well, what I heard, obviously you guys heard it with me along with Scott. He maybe moved to the outside a little bit. So, but these guys will rotate. Fresh bodies who can do it all. So, yeah, bro, you're facing Adams, Jefferson, Robinson. Yes. Yeah. He's going to have to. Those are tough tasks, though. You know what I'm saying? It's like you throw him in there as rookie year without a proper offseason. We're being coached through Zoom, not on a starting receiver like Kenny Galladay in person. Like you have a slow start, but he still did pretty well, and he's a sure tackler. A better pass rush helps any DB, period. I agree. I heard the Eagles wanted McNeil, but we took him and they panicked and they took a defensive tackle they didn't want right after us. The war room was upset. Hey, maybe they should have came to us with, you know what I'm saying? Throw me the proper trade. We might be able to make some clap. You know what I'm saying? What up, though? Hey, drop your mixtape name, man. Barnes has a chance to start at MLB. Yeah, Major League Baseball. I see him for sure doing. I'm kidding. No, yeah, I think so too. I think so down the line of the season. I like Barnes a lot. Now, Scott did temper me in saying that he's probably going to be more on special teams this year. And the game does come faster than the NFL from speaking to these guys like Joik, Darius, GQ. But I like what I see on tape, and if it could translate even half of that, I know we definitely need more than half of that. But if he could translate more than that to his pro game, man, I'm in love. I don't think we can fairly judge any player on defense from the last couple of years. They all looked lost last season. It was bad. It was bad. What up, though? Dolo. So Levi, beast. And I agree. Now we need Sewell, teammate Kayvon. All right, I'll check him out. Aleem could play running back. Yo. He really could. He really could. Like, now I'm not talking like obviously like running back, but like, yeah, on like third down situations or end zone situations, I could see Aleem sneaking in there. I could see him doing that. Shout out to everybody in the stream right now. If you guys haven't already, make sure you follow Woodward Sports both on social media, Instagram, Twitter, and YouTube. For sure, YouTube, obviously, that's where the content is. But we have a goal of hitting I think we hit 4K today on Twitter. Make sure you guys follow, man, and rep Speak Easy when you're there. Let them know who sent you, so we get some love in that bitch too. But I am live daily, Monday through Friday, with Red Wings Stanley Cup champion Darren McCarty and Tom Mazaway, who's not a Stanley Cup champion, but a mentor of mine. Been doing Detroit sports a long time. The beautiful Pilar Lasher. I know a lot of y'all like Pilar. I've been seeing the comments sometimes. I love it for sure. I'm pretty sure you yourself could throw for 350 yards and 4 touchdowns if I was to run, man, all day. And no, yeah. Dan Campbell basically said players looked lost out there, didn't know where to go. Patricia used a 2-gap scheme that gives you no pass rush from your interior D-line. We will see more 1-gap. Should have drafted me at 7. Hey, Benjamin Foe. Felt bad for Kuda. Had to go from a computer screen to press man coverage against Devontae Adams. Yeah, absolutely right, man. Absolutely right. You heard it here first. If Swift can get it going, Terrell Williams and Hockenson ball out. Lions get wildcard berth. It's too early to be drinking Kool-Aid, but I'm guilty of it. Obviously, you heard what I think of Derek Barnes. Amon-Ra as well. Late in the season, I think Amon-Ra a good fantasy pickup too, by the way, people. But I really think having Sewell on the right side of that line, if Swift can take advantage of that properly, then maybe we actually might see some wins this year. Just because of the problems that he look. Y'all know I'm not a big Kool-Aid guy. No playoffs. No playoffs, but more wins than we expected. If Swift could take advantage of the right side of the line, being shored up by Sewell. If Sewell obviously could transition to the right tackle spot earlier than most. Yeah, dog. He's a dog ass like run blocker, man. Like second level too. Just as you heard Scott say, this is per Scott. Sewell has like the instinct and downfield sight where he may see a position like a linebacker that is closer to maybe making a play, but necessarily is out of position to make that play. So he's smart enough to go on to the next guy, hit a safety, and let that run become a touchdown. And say the linebacker is there to make the play. Swift's an athlete. That's his job. That's what I'm talking about. Him taking advantage of it is him making breaking the tackle. Man, I'm telling you, it's all based on these running backs, and it's going to be this year. One, we should know. I know some of y'all love Jared Goff a little more than most. Jared Goff's not that great. Let's be real about it. 2, we don't have receivers that make them look great. So it's really going to be dependent on this run game. I know maybe we'll be more predictable with the run game, but if you have punishers like Sewell, and I don't want to call Decker a punisher, but a serviceable guy like Decker, like you should be able to do what you want. As long as you know what I'm saying, as long as you're creating holes and you got guys like Jamal Williams and DeAndre Swift who can make a guy miss, then yeah, you should be good. People laugh when I say I think some of the players already on the roster will thrive under the new coach. We shall see, man. We still haven't seen the guy in the field, but I just feel if done right, yeah. But I liked Anthony Lynn as a head coaching candidate here in Detroit. The fact that we have him as an offensive coordinator, we can kind of like solely focus on that. I'm ecstatic about it. I truly am. Our defense, I don't know. We don't know. But we addressed some things. Is it going to be preseason this year? I don't think so. I think they added on that extra game and got rid of preseason. Easy also drink the Kool-Aid. Hey, man, come on now. Also, will Woodward Sports be allowed to go to any of the open practices? Yes, we do have a gentleman by the name of Corey Woods. Shout out to Corey Woods, who will be at the any media availability for the Detroit Lions. We will do our best to make sure that Corey is there. He actually, if you guys watched the Penn State School press conference, he's the one that corrected him on or educated him on what we say here in Detroit, which is "What up, though?" instead of "What up." What's happening? What up? What it do? That's for sure. But everybody in our city say, "What up, though?" Vegas has us with the worst win odds. Put the Kool-Aid down. Help me, y'all. Look, no playoffs. All right. Motherfucker almost caught me slipping and say some dumb shit like that. No playoffs. But we will I think we will win more games than expected. I'm saying, like, I had us probably winning 3 or 4 games. So now I'll probably say 5, maybe even 6. Just because, again, when you could run the ball, you also just dictate the other team even having the ball with opportunities to score. Bitching before not drinking it just yet. Just saying. I'm just saying a playoff berth. I'm saying some guys were used to. I don't know about playoff berth, man. JM, Cephas. We shall see, man. Real big boomer bust potential. I heard these big body guys. I'm actually about to watch the film when I get off of here. Unless I got some honeydew shit. My girl put me to work. You need running backs that can make the first guy miss. Sometimes they need to get to be their own blockers. Yeah, exactly. Joey, can they separate? I'm gonna watch the film, check the 40 times to see if they can separate for sure. That's what Anthony Lynn is here for. I think he's gonna try to run the ball. Yeah, definitely gonna try to run the ball. Hopefully not too much. Bob Quinn would have drafted Adams. Yeah, probably second round too. Separation so overrated in my opinion. I know nobody knew or cared about separation until Kenny Galladay. No, separation is definitely a thing. It depends who your quarterback is. Like a guy like, Jared Goff, my man needs separation. The what though guy, already a fan of him. Train the rookie right. That's right. It makes you guys follow us on Woodward Sports. Like I said, tell them Easy sent you. Comment on anything. Comment, say Easy sent me, #steel chair. You might even see some of those already. Steve O, truth quote, I've seen. We got them undrafted. Quinn picked them in the 4th. I really do need to get. Yeah. No, that separation is important. Depending on your quarterback. You got like Aaron Rodgers, you don't really need separation as much. What do you say? If you catch the ball, what doesn't matter? We call that getting moss. That's facts. That's facts. All right, y'all. Bring back Baby Hulk. Yo, I am about to bring back Baby Hulk because it was a knockout last night. You might be able to YouTube it. It's Jiri. And the last name you're fucked on, but put Verse Reyes, Reyes, a spinning elbow KO. If you have ESPN Plus, don't even do that. Watch the fight. If you have ESPN Plus, watch the UFC fights from last night. More specifically, the main event. It'll already be cut and separated itself. You can find it. I promise you, it's worth it. Foe, you better watch that shit, man. Did you watch the Reyes fight, bro? I didn't know he's fighting this weekend, man. I wanted to. I saw some on Instagram where it was like some fights in the crowd and shit like that, man. Devin, what up, though? Bro, that elbow was insane. Bro, I'm telling you, if you guys have ESPN, because I'm about to hop off anyway. If you guys have ESPN Plus, do yourself a favor and watch that fight. That shit was dope. That shit was hella, yeah, bro. Definitely gotta get Baby Hulk on to talk about that one. What's the difference if a receiver gets a separation 2 feet in front of defender or 2 feet above his head? It's all separation. I mean, the difference is your quarterback. You're 2 feet in front, a lot easier for a quarterback to throw versus 2 feet above the head. Just saying, that's my opinion. What up, though, Christopher? Only the 3rd spinning elbow, and yeah, which is crazy. I can't think of any other ones off the top of my head. That shit was wild though, man. Yuri Porzanga, however you say his last name, is gonna be a beast. But I appreciate you guys, man, for staying tuned. If you haven't already, hit the like button. It really, really helps the algorithm and helps us grow. What I'm really trying to help grow as well, though, is come on, Ben. Come on with that shit. Ben boxing's dead. Jake Paul's the biggest boxing star. That sport's dead. He's not even a boxer. So fuck that sport. Nate Diaz in a couple weeks. Hey, Nick Diaz might come back too. Nate Diaz versus Leon Edwards. He might get worked. Devin, I'm just fair warning. Nate Diaz might get fucking worked. Leon Edwards is no chump. But yeah, hit that like button if you guys haven't already. I really, really appreciate it. If you haven't already as well, I should have put it in the fucking description, but I will afterwards in case anybody's watching this back. Follow Woodward Sports on Instagram, on Twitter, on YouTube. Like I said, tell them Easy sent you. I might be, hopefully, I'm gonna slide in a flyer. We may be doing a night show live daily, so I'll put in a flyer for that one. I would love to be a part of that. Y'all know I get a little crazy, so I feel like the night show is perfect for me. What up though? 187 the new breed. What up though, man? Easy, your thoughts on Burns over Cox and Dillon. To be honest with you, you have to specify that one. I don't have to watch tape on it to give you an educated answer. But I'm hold on. Let's see. Burns. I'm not a big fan of the tweener. Now this tweener's like Isaiah Simmons. Yeah, he's bigger, a lot more explosive. I like Cox over JOK. After watching film, I feel like he's better at covering. But I will check out the film on them guys, and I will give you an answer to that because I'm curious, and I want to see where they went to. But, yeah, shout out to everybody who joined in. Hit the like button again. Follow Woodward Sports, and I'm out.